started radiating. I fell, got under the truck, and I was still getting face full of dirt. The gunfire was still going on. I got out from under the truck, tried to run behind the truck to get cover. I collapsed, drug myself, trying to yell the best I could, and I'm hit. And then Chuck showed up out of nowhere, the first 18 Delta on scene, came up to me on my left, and he's like, "You're all right, buddy?" And I was like, "I'm hit." He's like, "All right, you're fine." And while he's treating me, Wes came up from my right and said, "What do you got?" Chuck said, "We got a GSW, left chest, abdomen, exposed intestines." And he's like, "All right, well, you're in charge. Take charge." So Chuck took charge and started continue my care. While I'm getting treated, Chuck was told by Wes that he's in charge. Wes continued to assist with the medical care. As I was getting treated with Chuck and Wes, to the rear passenger side of the truck was John getting treated by Tim. As I was getting treated and the pain, and then I couldn't breathe because my lung collapsed, so they did what they had to do. So in order for me to breathe, they gave me a needle decompression on site. And I tell you right now, when you practice and rehearsals, make sure you get the right spot, because I had fortunate medics. They got the right spot. Even though it hurt, I looked at him and I said, "Hey man, that hurt." And I tried to reach up and try to pull it out, but they wouldn't let me, so they had to put a knee on my hand, because I kept trying to reach for it because it hurt. So after that, I watched Tim use last resorts on John. And as John took his last breath and rolled his head towards my direction, I looked up at the bright blue skies and I said, "Lord, not like this, not now." And that's where the first push of medicine came in. And then I remember getting put on the litter. It hurt, I couldn't breathe, so they had to sit me up, put the aid bag underneath me, and then they took me over to the HLZ. And that's why, like we were saying, the moral is to let everybody know that everything happens for a reason and everybody has a job. The pilots, the medevac crew on that bird, the CCT, the JTAC, whoever's calling in these birds and getting everything done. Everybody here is one of the reasons why I survived, and Keone's here with me as well. Everybody did their job when they had to do their job. And upon waking up, when the medicine kicked in, before getting put on the bird, I remember they put me on the bird. There was arguing between the flight crew and the guys about whatever. The door shut. The flight medic straddled me and knife handed me and said, "Hey buddy, you're gonna be all right." And I was too out of it, so I just said, "Okay." And then the bird took off, and from there, everything else after that is bits and pieces, like episodes, like chapters. But I tell you right now, guys, it is okay to not be okay.
I'll start out how I saw it from my point of view. So, as Jose said, you're in a circle. The first thing I felt was my arm get hit. It was real quick. Didn't know exactly what happened, but I realized I was shot. When I looked down, I saw my hand hanging down down here. As I look up, that's when I start to see everybody fall down around me. So my first thing is I need to get to cover. As I turn to get to cover, I get shot in the back, and then I hit the ground and then get shot through the foot. So caused me to fall underneath the truck. After that, there was another guy underneath the truck at the time. Told him he needs to get up, keep moving. He was shot through the leg at the time. So I crawled to the back of the trucks. There I fall in between the legs of another guy that was wounded, Drew. At that point, me and him looking at each other, we have to do self-aid. There's nobody around us. So as you go through training, that's another thing. Make sure you know how to treat yourself. As much as someone's always there to rush, that may not be the case. So I didn't have my first aid kit on me because I took off my body armor to load the vehicles. So the only thing I could do at the time was take my shirt, stuff my arm, and try to wrap my arm and try to contain as much of the bleeding as I could. So that happened. The first two people to get to us were actually I believe there were mechanics actually that got to us. So the first two people that got to us, they came to help us, but we told them that we needed security. Always got to maintain security since we didn't know what's going on. So you could be the first one to somebody other than the medic being the first one. So they go, medic comes to me, making sure you can handle pressure. The medic that came to me couldn't handle pressure. I had to calm him down, walk him through the steps, what to do until somebody else came who could actually help. Buddy Jake came, helped me out until another medic could come. Tim, the medic he was speaking about earlier, who was helping John, Tim came to me, helped me out. So then I got my first dose of medicine to help me out. I stayed calm. Scared some people. I'm a pretty calm guy, so I just knew I had to stay calm, try to relax, calm under pressure. But for a lot of people, I was so calm that they thought that was it. So he took everything off, cut everything, wrapped my foot, wrapped my arm, and then I'm just waiting. Don't know when the birds are coming in, but the reassurance that they were coming definitely helped out. I remember as I was being carried, I looked over and saw Jose on his stretcher as well. And then the first bird comes in. I remember being lifted to go into the bird, and then they shut the door saying we don't have enough room, and then turning around saying I have to wait for the next one. So I remember that happening. And then finally, when I finally got on the bird, I had a couple grenades on me, handed them to the crew in case they needed them. I don't know why I did it, but that's what I did. And then we took off. I didn't know what was going on until I got to, I knew everything was going on, but I didn't know the damage that the aircrafts had taken also when they came in to save us. I just knew that the med crew was there, they were helping us, they were getting me to Bagram where I needed to be.
Hi, good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lonnie Passy. I'm the chief nurse of the 528 Field Hospital. Jose and Keone, after you shared your story with me, you had told me that you always wanted to find the crew that picked you up from the medevac standpoint. And we were going to use this LPD as a venue to see if we could help find you to get in touch with that crew. Well, I haven't been completely honest with you for the past month. Because of our friends at the Joint Trauma System in Texas, I was actually able to get the name of your flight medic, Sergeant Campbell, who remembers your day very vividly. In fact, he kept a journal of that deployment and sent us an excerpt of what he wrote that day.
We have 6 patients, 4 Cat A. Cat A is urgent, Lakeland, where I was at. I got to the aircraft, and Monty started posturing to fit as many patients as we could. Yells he was in the Tiger Valley, the same bad town we were at 2 days prior. We took off and went straight east with a few Apaches flying tandem. The short 10-minute flight to Tagada, we were getting conflicting reports about the wounded. I looked at Monty and said, "It looks like you and I will be triaged." We got to the valley and Sergeant Latour noticed the smoke. Our guys were in a small compound with towers and buildings rising up on all sides. We got in with just a few feet to spare. On each side of the rotor blades were walls and other obstacles. I got out and saw litter teams pouring out of the building. They asked how many I could take. I said 2 litter and 2 ambulance worth. At that same time, 3 SF guys walked out into the open and started shooting at someone on the roof. I looked up and I saw how vulnerable we were. Everywhere was up. We got in and Sergeant Latour cleared us out. I didn't look back. Lonnie took the guy with a gunshot wound to the torso that had diminished breathing. I had a mangled guy who was delirious and in a lot of pain. I cut him out of his uniform, radio, and body armor. Lonnie's guy started with a tension pneumothorax. He was just needle decompression, sealed the chest, and put him in a high concentration of oxygen. My guy was still screaming in pain, but he was maxed out on meds. We got to the hospital at Bagram and unloaded the aircraft. I did my patient report, let them know that Monty's guy was the guy they needed to focus on. We We got shut down and Monty and I started to get our stuff prepped to go back out. Major Huggins walked around and found several bullets on the tail pylon, stab, and the rotor blades. He said we were done, the aircraft was down. Because I keep forgetting, I said prayers of thanks throughout my day. I know I'm not invincible, and my guardian angels always come through. I don't really fear death, nor do I cheat it. I just don't want to disappoint my daughter. She's counting on my angels to bring me home. It eats at me some, because I feel so helpless standing against so much when I have no control. As hard as we think we are, we're delicate creatures when it comes to the coarse, raw gears of modern warfare. If my days keep piling up like this, then all I need is the Lord to grant me one more miracle.
At this time, I would like to invite the Garcia family and Sergeant Garcia to the front for some tokens of appreciation. So these are some things. So just some tokens of appreciation for sharing your story with us. One, we just want to give flowers to you, Stelly. I think the military does a great job about trying to prepare people for when the possibility of their spouse is not coming home, but the strength that it takes to take care of somebody that does come home, but they're not the same. So I appreciate your strength. That's heroic in itself. We also have copies of the journal excerpt for you to have from Sergeant Campbell that we would like to present you and Keone. And last but not least, Sergeant Campbell's wife made a quilt for you, Keone, and we're just going to display it. The team from Dustoff actually got a chance to sign it for you. The big one. And we have one more surprise. I know I told you that the gentlemen behind you were going to be from the Dustoff Association to help you find your crew. This is for you too, Keone. When I spoke to the pilot in command, he said he wouldn't miss this day for the world. It is an honor to introduce you to the medevac crew that picked you up that day. Who flew into that hot LV, Flight Nurse Major Montgomery, Crew Chief, now Pilot CW O'Connell, and Flight Medics Command Sergeant Major Barone and Sergeant First Class Campbell.
Hey, so this wraps up our LPT today and our reunion. I think that was awesome. Thank you, Major Passy. Major Passy put this together. She kind of tracked this whole thing down. Turned out JTS is your friend. JTS keeps records on everything and understands exactly what's going on. So when you do a medevac card, when you do a T-Tri-C card, it usually ends up getting transmitted to JTS. Maybe not the earlier ones, but the ones from fairly the last decade. So that's Major Passy, reached out for the card, found out the names were approved, and it all kind of streamed together there. So it was really awesome. It was a good conclusion. So wrapping this up. I'm going to hand it over to Major General Menace here in a second. But I just wanted to say, I thought this should solidify why we do what we do, right? It's the why, right? It's about the casualty or the patient. It's not about the patch, it's about the patient. That was always, what I was told by General Friedrichs of the Joint Staff Surgeon's Office. It's very, it's what it's about. So hopefully this was able to kind of form that in your minds as you go about your daily business, getting ready, getting your equipment ready, and doing the training. At the end of the day, this is what, we care for the casualties so they come back and they have these reunions and move on with their life to being great people. So thank you very much. I hand it over to Major General Menace.